Are you thinking about getting weight loss surgery? Are you not getting approved by your doctor? Do you want to know another way to go if you can't get it through insurance? Come with me and I'll show you how I did it. Hi guys, I'm Stacy with Spill the Tea with Stacy. Today I want to talk to you guys about my experience with my gastric bypass. I went to Mexico to get the gastric bypass and I went with a company called Eliza Ortiz and Company. So come with me and let's talk about some options, what I did and what my experience was all about. So first thing you need to do is your research. If you're going to choose an alternate route besides going through your doctor and your insurance company to get gastric bypass or the sleeve, you really need to start with research. Not everywhere in Mexico is going to be a good bet to go to. I did a research for about a year. I went on YouTube channel to do my research. I went on Facebook pages with the company that I felt might be the good one, and it ended up being the best one for me to go to. It's called Eliza Ortiz and Company. And I am super stoked that I was able to do this and go on this journey. Once I found them, I had to go through a process. First, I had to put the application in to Eliza Ortiz and Company and wait for an approval from the doctor. Once I got my approval from the doctor, they sent me an email back letting me know what my deposit was and that I needed to pick a date that I wanted to go. They said pick 3 days out of the month that I wanted to go, and we'll set a date, and once the doctor approves that day, we would be able to put the deposit down to hold it. So I had the full amount, so I didn't have to put a deposit down. With the company I went through, it was pretty awesome. You were able to do payments however much you could, whenever you could, as long as it was paid off within 30 days of your surgery date. My surgery is paid for now, so the next step, I had to turn in who was coming with me with my surgery as my companion. I had to turn in our passports as well as what time our flight would arrive in San Diego. Then after I had all that turned in, it was just a waiting game. The company sent me all the information on what vitamins to stop taking, what supplements to stop taking, and all the information of the do's and don'ts. So I was pretty prepared. I went online and I watched lots of YouTube stuff on what to bring when you have surgery, what not to bring, what worked for people, what didn't work for people, and just had to choose what I thought was going to work best for me. So I got ready and the day came around and it was time to go to San Diego, get picked up, and head over to get my surgery. So the day before, we got ready, got packed, put everything in the car, and the driver actually sent us a text message saying, hey, I'll be your driver tomorrow. I'll be picking you up at this time. Can you tell me what sign you're standing under when you get outside? So we replied back, okay, so now I have the number of my driver. So I got that set. I know my driver's coming. I know I have somebody picking me up. That was a really awesome thing that they provided for us. Then after that, we went to bed. Nerves were high. I was nervous. Don't think I slept a wink. So the next day, we got up, got dressed, got ready, went to the airport, got on the plane, flew to San Diego, and stood under that sign. And as we're waiting there, all these other people come in pairs to the same sign. And I realized they're coming with us. So we all get in the van, and on the way over to cross the border, the driver's telling us jokes, trying to put our mind at ease, and was just super awesome and super cheerful. He explained to us what the day was going to look like. So once we crossed the border, the first place we went to was to go get a CAT scan. We went and got the CAT scan, and then after this CAT scan, we went to the hospital that we were having our surgery at and got our blood work done. And they went and made sure everything was okay for us to still go forth with the surgery, and everything was fine for me. So I got to go to the next place. And the next place we went to was the hotel. The hotel we stayed at had a conference room that was just for the bariatric patients and plastic surgeon patients for Eliza Ortiz and company. So we all went in there, and we had one of the coordinators come up and let us know what the week was going to look like. Gave us our hotel keys and told us what time to stop drinking liquids. So we got our hotel key, went upstairs, got settled in, and went across the street where they have their famous soup. And it's a steakhouse. So we as patients got to sit there and watch our companions eat these very large, yummy steaks with vegetables and all this good stuff. And we got soup. They had a chicken soup and a beef broth. I will have to say, if you do choose to go and get your surgery through this company, definitely get the beef broth. It's probably the best thing you've had in a while because you haven't eaten anything in a couple days. So after we had dinner, we went upstairs and did our best to just go to sleep. The next morning, we woke up. We knew what time we were supposed to be downstairs, and so we went downstairs and they picked us up and we headed over to the hospital. At this point, you've made friends with the other bariatric patients and their companions. So you have people that you talk to. And when you get there, you each got called up 2 at a time to go up to your rooms. The nurse put you in your room, gave you one of those sexy gowns, and you went and got ready, compression socks. They came and took your blood pressure, got you hooked up to the IV, and then that's when the waiting came. You wait and wait and wait and wait and wait until it's your turn. Well, my turn wasn't till 8 p.m. at night. So at 8 p.m., the doctor comes in and lets me know what's going to happen, what the procedure is going to look like, what the aftercare is going to look like, and what to expect. So I'm doing great. I'm ready for this. Let's do this. I am ready to get this done. I look over at my husband and he is crying. And I look back at the doctor and I start crying. And the doctor says, we'll give you a minute. The nurse will come back with a wheelchair and then we'll wheel you out. You guys can just, say goodbye and you'll see each other later. So, of course, I was fine until he did that and it worked me up. So I'm crying the whole entire way down to the OR room. Once they wheel me into that OR room, I ended up jumping onto a bed and a nurse comes in, checks my blood pressure one more time, make sure my IV's set up correctly, make sure everything's okay. And he looks at me and goes, oh, honey, you need a tequila shot. And I kind of stopped him like, I thought we weren't supposed to drink. And he's like, no, in your IV. And I'm like, okay. Well, he gave me the tequila shot and it just relaxed me. So after that, the doctor comes in and goes, all right, Stacy, it's your turn. And I get up and I walk into the OR room and I jump on that table. He explains to me one more time what was going to happen, says, we're going to put a mask on you now and I want you to just take a couple deep breaths and you will go off to dreamland. So I took a couple breaths and I don't remember anything after that. The next thing I remember is waking up and feeling like I could not take a deep breath. Like I could not breathe. I was trying so hard to breathe and I felt like I couldn't. And the nurse comes over and I remember her saying, just take small breaths. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. And of course, I've had one other major surgery in my life, and apparently after that surgery, I asked the nurses for hugs, and the nurse again told me that I asked for a hug. So I guess she gave me a hug, and then I remember all of a sudden feeling relaxed again. So I'm assuming they gave me another one of those good tequila shots. So next thing I remember is just passing back out, going to sleep, and then waking up in my room. But my husband said I was awake when I went into the room and I just jumped in bed and went back to sleep, but I don't really remember that part. Oh well. So I get in bed, I'm sleeping it off, and I wake up. When I wake up, I felt like it was hard to breathe again, so my husband calls the nurse in. Nurse comes in, looks at me, says, "You're fine. You just have to take deep breaths and you need to walk. You have a lot of air that was pumped into you during the surgery, and that's probably the pain you're feeling and why it's hard to breathe. So you got to get up and try to move, take small breaths, and work through it." So, of course, I got up when I could. I walked around. I went back to my room, lay down, slept for a while, got up, walked around, and repeated it a couple times. By that evening, I felt like I was able to just be awake more. So my husband brought the Switch, and we brought cards, and we played cards and played on the Switch, watched some TV that night, and tried to go back to sleep. After we went to sleep, I remember waking up feeling kind of dizzy and not quite right. So I called the nurse in, and at that time my nurses had changed, and I had this young gentleman who had just started. First time ever being in the hospital. It was his first week there, and he was amazing. He gave me some extra medication to help with my blood pressure. He came in and checked on me every 30 minutes to make sure I was doing okay. So later on that day, I was able to go home or go back to the hotel, and I wish I was able to go home. I was able to go back to the hotel, and we got to the hotel, went back to the conference room, and we got our hotel key, and they let us know that there is a tour tomorrow as well as a nutrition class that we probably should go to. It's not mandatory, but it's strongly suggested. So we go back to our hotel room. We take the rest of the night to relax. We walked around the hotel a couple times. And it's a pretty big hotel. They have a pool there. They had, a whole buffet area, a dining area, a restaurant. They had the restaurant across the street. We stayed in the hotel because it's Mexico. I don't know Spanish, and I don't really want to walk around Mexico when I, by myself without somebody who knows the area. So the next morning, we got up, we got ready, we ate breakfast at the buffet. Well, my husband ate breakfast at the buffet, and I had some broth, and we ended up going to the tour. So we went downstairs, got one on the tour. It was really awesome. They took us to the most tourist probably spot ever, and there was 4 stores on a strip that they said, "These are the 4 stores to stay at. Please don't go any further." And we went to them, got a couple souvenirs for the kids, got back on the van, and as we're waiting for everybody on the van, this ice cream cart came along, and they let us know that this ice cream cart comes every time. He just texts the person, says, "Hey, we're here," and the driver did. And we got this ice cream. It's like not ice cream with lots of sugar. It was like a sorbet. So each of us got to pick 1 to 2 scoops of sorbet, and of course, we take 2 or 3 bites and we're done. But it still tasted amazing. Like, all of us bariatric patients were like, "Oh my God, this is so good." Like, it tasted amazing. So after that, everybody got on the van and we went to this little hole-in-the-wall taco shop, and our companions got to eat tacos, and we got our soup. Well, broth. And the broth was okay, but of course, by that time, I was full with that sorbet still, so I didn't drink really much of it. I had a taste of it. We took it back to the hotel when we were done, and we hung out and did our walking again, and they let us know that, of course, the day before that we had the nutrition class. So we get back at the hotel from our tour, and we go upstairs and go to the nutrition class. The nutritionist was amazing. She told us about all of the phases that we were going to go through with our eating, what we should be eating during those phases, how long those phases should last, and answered all the questions that we had. It was a great experience. So after that, we went and had dinner, went upstairs, and just relaxed. And they let us know what time the next morning to go downstairs to get ready to go home, because they wanted to give you at least 5 hours to get from the hotel to the airport, because they didn't know how long it would take to go over the border. Sometimes you just drive right through. Sometimes they stop and they go through all your stuff. We were fortunate enough where when we went over, they didn't go through our stuff. So we got up the next morning. I think it was 8 o'clock was our departure time. We got in the van, we headed over the border, and like I said, it was smooth sailing, went just right across and got to the airport and got to do some more sitting and waiting. And we got to go home that day. So the experience overall with Eliza Ortiz and company was absolutely amazing for me. I didn't have any issues caused by the surgery. I healed up very nicely, and it just, I wouldn't change it for the world. I am so happy that I did it the way I did it. And I felt like in Mexico, I got better care than I probably would have if I would have stayed here. Because from my understandings, when you go through insurance here in the United States, you are in the hospital for one night. The next day you go home, and then you have your post-op appointment after that. So you're home. And at the hotel, we had nurses there all those extra days that came up, changed our bandages after we showered. They were there for any issues we had. So if somebody did have an issue, they would take you back to the hospital, they would take care of you, and they would make sure everything was fine. So the experience there for me, knowing that I had those extra days to make sure I was okay, was really helped me set my mind at ease than knowing that I would be going home the next day and I was on my own if I were to have done it here in the United States. So that's definitely was a major plus for me. So if I had to do it over again, would I do it over again? Yeah. If I had to do it over again with the company I did it with, yeah. I even did do it over again. I went with a companion. Went as a companion for one of my friends, and he went and got the sleeve. So I was able to eat the tacos that time and have the steak dinner that time and do all those fun things. And you know, I even went and got my teeth cleaned that time. Like we went to, after on the spare day that we had, we did the tour and then we did the class, and then we actually had time to go get our teeth cleaned. So they have a lot of really cool stuff that you can do while you're there too. You can get your nails done, you can get your hair done. They have this really awesome salon. They have teeth whitening company that they work with that can get your teeth whitened. It's just overall an amazing experience. It was fun. It was the first time I ever got to travel outside of the States. And you just got to make that decision. Is this going to be right for you? And if you feel like it is, go for it. Don't hold back. Go for it. Try. You know, like, it's worth it. It's worth it. So anyways, you all have a great rest of your day, and thank you for watching and learning a little bit more about my experience. I hope to catch you in the next video, and if you haven't already, can you subscribe, please? You all have a great day. Bye.